Everybody laughs at the .22 LR. They call it a toy, a starter round, something you give your kids when they're first learning to shoot. They say it's harmless, weak, not even worth talking about in the same breath as real ammunition. But here's the truth that almost no one wants to admit. The .22 long rifle is the most underestimated, and one of the most dangerous cartridges in America. And when you look at the facts, when you dig into the history, the statistics, the medical reports, the crime scenes, you'll realize just how deadly this tiny little bullet really is. This isn't an exaggeration. This isn't gunshot myth. This is cold, hard reality. Let's start with the basics. The .22 LR has been around since the late 1800s, and in that time, billions upon billions of rounds have been manufactured. It is, by far, the most common ammunition in the United States. If you own a gun, chances are you've fired one. If you've ever walked into a Walmart, a Bass Pro, or even a rural hardware store, you've seen boxes of it stacked on shelves. And it's not just a handful of rounds, it's sold in bulk, in bricks of 500 or more. That availability alone makes it a weapon of choice for people who shouldn't have guns at all. You don't need connections. You don't need black market dealers. All you need is a $20 bill, and you walk out with enough rounds to do real damage. Then there's the price. Ammunition costs money, and lots of it. A box of 9mm or 45 ACP will set you back anywhere from $20 to $40 for 50 rounds. But a brick of .22 you can grab hundreds of rounds for less than that. For a criminal, that affordability is a game changer. They can fire as much as they want, reload as often as they want, and never worry about conserving bullets. Think about that. Every time ammo is cheap, criminals pull the trigger more. And the more they shoot, the more people get hurt. It's a vicious cycle fueled by pennies on the dollar bullets. And here's the part most people overlook: the sound. A 9mm or A45 will shake the windows. Fire it in a neighborhood and every dog starts barking. Every neighbor calls 911. But the .22, it's barely louder than a firecracker. Fire it from a small pistol, and it's a pop. Add a suppressor, and you've got one of the quietest firearms on the planet. That's why organized crime loves it. Mafia hitmen in the mid-20th century carried it. Cartels use it. Gangs on the streets of Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, they know the power of silence. The gun doesn't draw attention. It doesn't alert the block. By the time anyone realizes shots were fired, the damage is already done. Now let's talk about the biggest myth. The .22 doesn't have stopping power. On paper, sure, it looks weak. A tiny little bullet with low velocity compared to bigger calibers. People scoff at it. But here's the ugly truth. The .22 kills, and it kills in horrifying ways. Forensic pathologists will tell you that .22 bullets don't behave like bigger rounds. A 9mm goes in, maybe goes out, leaving a clear channel. A 45 blows through with devastating force. But a .22, it enters, and then it dances. It can ricochet off bone, tumble through tissue, and travel inside the body in unpredictable paths. Doctors open people up and find bullets lodged in places they never expected. One round, one tiny hole, can cause catastrophic damage to organs, arteries, even the brain. In fact, neurosurgeons will tell you the .22 is particularly feared in headshots. Why? Because it doesn't just punch through, it bounces around inside the skull, shredding brain matter. Victims don't always drop instantly, but death comes slow, messy, and almost certain. History has proven it. March 30, 1981, Washington, D.C. A man named John Hinckley, Jr. walks up to President Ronald Reagan and fires 6 shots from a Rome RG-14 revolver, chambered in .22 LR. The president is hit. His press secretary, James Brady, is permanently disabled. A Secret Service agent is struck. A D.C. police officer is wounded. All with a so-called weak round. Reagan nearly died that day. 1 inch in another direction, and history changes forever. And yet people still dare to call the .22 harmless. It doesn't stop there. Throughout the 20th century, mobsters used .22 pistols as their tools of choice. They weren't lugging around heavy revolvers or expensive 1911s. They carried pocket-sized .22s because they were easy to conceal, cheap to use, and reliable at close range. And when they pressed that barrel behind someone's ear, it was game over. Cartels today still employ it for the exact same reasons. It's not about Hollywood-style shootouts. It's about quiet efficiency. And the .22 delivers that better than almost anything else. But maybe you're still thinking, yeah, but I've shot .22 all my life. It's fun, it's light, it's easy. How could it be so deadly? That's exactly the problem. Nostalgia blinds us. We remember plinking cans with Dad, hunting squirrels on a Saturday morning, teaching our kids the basics. We want to believe it's innocent, because it's tied to our earliest shooting memories. But nostalgia doesn't change facts. And the fact is, the .22 is involved in more homicides than you'd think. According to law enforcement data, it consistently ranks among the calibers most recovered at crime scenes. The FBI and ATF track this. The numbers don't lie. Alongside 9mm and 40 S&W, the .22 shows up again and again in violent crime. And think about this, while bigger calibers may kill instantly, the .22 often leaves victims alive long enough to suffer. Emergency rooms see it all the time. People come in shot multiple times with .22, and at first glance, the wounds don't look catastrophic. But inside, organs are shredded, arteries are punctured, bleeding is uncontrolled. Victims die on the operating table, not in the street. To doctors, the .22 is a nightmare, because it forces them to chase a bullet that may have taken a path no one can predict. Another thing, survivability doesn't mean harmlessness. Yes, some victims survive .22 shootings, but often with permanent injuries, paralysis, brain damage, chronic pain. For criminals, that's still a win. They've silenced, crippled, or terrified their target. For society, it's a tragedy. Lives are ruined, families destroyed, all with a cartridge people laugh at. So let me put it bluntly. The .22 LR is America's silent killer. It's cheap, it's everywhere, it's quiet, and in the wrong hands, it's devastating. It has shaped history, filled morgues, and scarred survivors for life. Yet somehow, it still doesn't get the respect it deserves as a deadly weapon. And that's the danger. When people underestimate something, they stop taking it seriously. They leave it unlocked. They let kids handle it without caution. They laugh it off. That carelessness is exactly why it remains one of the deadliest cartridges in the country. If you own a .22, treat it with respect. Treat every round as if it were a .45, because the potential for death is just as real. The difference isn't in the size of the bullet, it's in how and where it's used. And in America, the .22 has been used to deadly effect more times than we can count. So the next time someone tries to tell you the .22 is weak, remember the facts. Remember Reagan. Remember the mafia. Remember the countless crime scenes where .22 casings told the story of lives ended. And remember that sometimes, the most dangerous things are the ones we laugh off, the ones we ignore, the ones we underestimate. The .22 LR isn't just a cartridge, it's a warning. A warning that danger doesn't always come wrapped in big, loud packages. Sometimes it comes in small brass cases, quiet and unassuming, waiting for someone careless enough to forget what it can do. Don't be that person. Don't underestimate it, because the .22 LR is, without a doubt, America's most dangerous round.